It's Monday.
Monday.
Hi, beautiful Grace.
Hi, beautiful Eric.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm pretty excited about tonight's show. I mean,
I am too.
I can't believe this is episode 36. This is insane to me. I don't know where that time went, but we need to start thinking about like a yearly celebration show at this point. Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll have like celebrities on and stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
We already have a celebrity on tonight.
I know. For the second time. This is our first double feature, our first double two-timer. So that's exciting. You ready to get this started, or you want to keep chit-chatting?
Let's get this started. I haven't heard your rhyme yet, though.
Well, here it comes. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Grace, on tonight's show, I get to chat with not one, but two amazing chicks. So let's get this party started on episode number 36.
I'm Eric, Idiot Runner Kosek.
And I'm Grace, Hot Pants Langheim. Eric is all business in the front of the pack, and I am all about the party in the back.
That's right, business up front and party in the back. Together, we are the Running Mullet.
And we are going to talk about every aspect of running, the podium to the DNF and everything in between.
If you are a runner, this show is for you. Now sit back, get out your foam roller, and enjoy the party.
All right, Grace, don't say a word. You're not a chick. You are a beautiful, strong, intelligent woman. And so is our guest. But the chick thing was the only thing that fit so just bear with me, okay? These rhymes.
I like it.
All right, good.
I like it.
All right, good.
Passes the test. Good job.
Yeah. All right. We are here. It's going to be a good show.
It's going to be a good show. Absolutely.
What's new? Did you have a good weekend? Didn't you say you're handing out bibs, or I don't know what you said. It was a week ago.
Yeah. The York Road Runners Club Winter Series has early bib pickup a couple of days because we have over 500 runners registered. So it kind of cuts down on the line. So I did some volunteering and then did some hiking with Jason on the Mason-Dixon. I don't know. It was a good weekend. Solid weekend.
It was a good weekend. I was down and ask me how my weekend was.
Hey, how was your weekend, Eric?
My weekend was good. I was down in Hershey for Lauren's state cross-country meet, which was very exciting.
How'd she do?
She came in 40th out of, I don't even know, 190 or something, but she did that. She's thrilled. She did, she was ranked like 56th, I think, and, seventh freshman, I think, something like that. So yeah, very good. It's intense down there. I didn't run a single mile on Saturday, but I felt like I ran a 100-miler just because I was like, gah, the whole time.
How were you like?
Like, gah. And then I was like, ooh. And then I was like, gah. So it was a whole thing.
Yeah.
But, we had some amazing friends, including our guest tonight, Marissa, come down and support Lauren, which was absolutely insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was a good day. Lauren is on cloud 9 still. She's very happy with how she did, and she's already researching how to get stronger and what to do and this and that. So it's really fun for me. You know how much I love this sport, and to see her just the intensity going up and up. Oh man, it's as a father and a parent, you never time flies, and if time flies, even when you're not a parent, I can't wait to see what my kids do in the next couple of years. But it's like, I don't want to wish this time away either. It's hard.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's all the It's just
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah. So we stayed with a friend of ours, Katie McDonald, and her husband Jason was down at Remner River this weekend, but we stayed at their house, and she took me to all these good restaurants, and I'm still full from the weekend, so it was a good weekend.
Yeah.
So let's get tonight's show started. I mean, I think we are started.
Let's get tonight's show started. I'm gonna let you intro Marissa.
Oh, so sweet.
quick content warning. We are going to talk about eating disorders. So I'm just going to throw that out there. If that's a big trigger for you at this moment in time in your life, we're gonna go there. We're going into some.
That was a really professional statement you just made. I appreciate you throwing that in there. I mean, it should be, I guess. Some things are a little more sensitive than others, and maybe somebody's not ready to hear or talk about something like that. So good stuff. Yeah, Marissa has been on the show once already. Episode number, I don't know because I didn't look back and I don't really care. I think I don't even know what she was on for. Was it Eastern States? Sorry,
yes, we were talking about Eastern States because we talked about them giving her a special rope for the river crossing.
That's right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add her to our stage right now. Marissa, thanks for being here. Okay, don't say a word, Marissa. You're not allowed to yet. So, Marissa, intro. I didn't know I was doing this. We need to talk, Grace. You can't throw me on the spot like this. But anyway, Marissa, if you've ever run with Marissa, she is the one person on the trail that does not stop smiling. She instantly makes you feel like she's your best friend, which is an amazing thing to do, especially in this day and age. She is one of the most caring individuals. And if she's not a caring individual, she at least makes it seem like she is. So she's a very good actor. Maybe kidding. I'm kidding. She's an amazing individual. She's super sincere, which it comes through with every word every word she says or writes down on paper. And like I said, she's a phenomenal word artist. And that's what I call her, because she knows how to write like no other. Whether it's just a silly Facebook post or something more from the heart, she's an artist of words. So thank you for being on, Marissa.
Thank you for that kind introduction, Eric. That was over the top.
He did good. He did good.
Right? He did great. That was awesome. I'm very flattered. Thank you.
All true statements. I mean, Marissa and I are best friends. That's how it works in my brain. So
right.
She might not know that. She might not know that. But we've been BFFs.
We're right there, Grace. So see it right there
for a while now. Right?
Yeah.
I met Marissa I think it was at Hills Creek Challenge. It was the first time I actually met you in person this past year. So like 9 months ago or whatever. And, you were finishing that race when I showed up, I think. And you were like this, I don't know, firecracker that ran through the finish line, and you were super happy, and you had somewhere else to go, I think, real quick, so you couldn't stay and hang around.
Well, I used that race to train for Massanutten, and it was actually Lee. I came in and I had time to do another lap, and Lee was like, "Go, you have do another lap. I don't know why you're stopping. Do another lap." And I was like, "No, I gotta get home." And he's like, "No, you don't. You need to do another lap." And like literally, as soon as he said that, I took off and I finished another lap. I don't know why I didn't think that in the first place that I could do it, but it is like, that was in Wellsboro. It's a 3-hour drive for me. Yeah. So in order to get back here and be with my family and appreciate them for the rest of the weekend, I was kind of in a hurry to get home, but I'm very grateful that Lee pushed me to get that last lap done.
I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful that our paths crossed that day, and we pretty much started chatting. We knew each other through social media.
I didn't know you were going to be at Massanutten though, and I think that was huge for me to see you guys down there. So
yeah, there wasn't too many people from our neck of the woods down there, so it's always nice to. It's a little weird when you go out. I've been out west to other races, and it's like, wait a minute, where's my people? And there's your people aren't coming up to talk to you, and I don't know, it's just different.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, we appreciate you coming on the show, and you had Marissa, you reached out to us, and we always have the most amazing people come on this show, which is great because otherwise it would just be me and Eric. And you'd kind of sent over your story, and it was like, dude, can we share this with the world? Because and I know that it really helps to know that you're not alone
Right.
with whatever challenge you're going through in life. So if there is a person out there who can articulate that challenge or share that challenge, that it might make somebody else out there feel a little less lonely. And that's what we're hoping to do today, I think, is to give you a place to tell your story. And so we're going to hand it over to you. And maybe there's somebody out there who feels a little less lonely, and or maybe somebody knows somebody. I don't know. We're going to do some good today. So let me pass it over to you, Marissa.
Grace, you hit the nail on the head. I did reach out to you in an effort to share this story because of, if I could affect just one person, if I can relate to any one person, if anybody can take anything away from this conversation tonight, then the darkness of what I put myself through will have served a purpose. Because right now in my head, it doesn't. You guys all know that I love my quotes. I have collected them for years. I find meaning in them. I find motivation in them. But the one that I don't believe in is when people say, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. This nearly killed me. And I did not come out a stronger human being because of it. And I'm going to get into the story now, but it's complex and it's complicated and it affects everybody a little differently. So it started when I was about 15. I was a highly competitive gymnast growing up. And I was incredibly difficult on myself. So we're training. I mean, Grace, you were a gymnast,
Yeah.
We trained 5 nights a week, 4 hours a day. So I would come home from a practice and be incredibly disappointed in myself for how I performed. And I was built back then, much like I am now. I'm like a boulder. Like you put me in water and I sink,
Yeah.
I didn't have the grace and the international lines that the judges wanted to see. And I was throwing these huge, incredible skills, but I wasn't landing any of them. So I wasn't getting the scores to help me advance through the levels. And that just kept wearing down in my head. Like I just kept coming home and being incredibly hard on myself. And I would essentially punish myself by, it sounds ridiculous because I was 15, but I would go to bed without dinner. And that's how innocently it had started. And I think for a lot of people, it can start that way. And when you're that young and that impressionable, it can manifest and snowball incredibly quickly. And it did. So it did start to get out of hand. And I was young enough at the time where my parents intervened and they actually put me in the outpatient program, eating disorder program here at Hershey Medical Center. And I don't remember much. I was racking my brain this morning to try and remember that the months I was there. And I don't remember much about it, except I was angry. I didn't want to be there. I didn't know why I was there. You can see certain things from the inside, but the people that love you see a completely different person in front of them. And I was stuck still inside of my head at the time. So I wasn't there long, but I didn't have the ability to check myself out yet. I was still underage. So from there, when you're practicing that heavily and competing that often, and you're not taking the calories in, what's going to happen? You start getting hurt. So I started getting injuries around the clock. My hair started falling out. I would be in the shower and my hair would just come out in clumps in my hands. And I would just stand there and cry and watch my adolescence, essentially go down the drain. And it was the thing about an eating disorder is it's an addiction. You know exactly what you're doing to yourself. It's essentially a confession of weakness, and you are making these decisions in your head, and they're wrong. You're not that far gone that you don't know what you're doing to yourself. That every decision you're making is essentially bringing you closer to your grave, but you don't give a shit. Like that's what an addicted mind does. You put yourself in these situations that are incredibly harmful, but you're so ingrained on one thing that you can't see anything else. There's a lot of tunnel vision that happens. but the way that an eating disorder is essentially different than any other addiction is that you can't just cut food out of your life altogether.
Right.
As much as we would love to do that, it's impossible. You know, an alcoholic can very easily go through the rest of their life without walking in a liquor store or taking a sip of alcohol again. I'm not saying that's not easy. That must be the most incredibly difficult thing they've ever done in their life. And somebody addicted to narcotics can go the rest of their life without shooting up heroin. And somebody addicted to gambling can go the rest of their life without ever having to walk in a casino again. But you can't expect to just turn your head away from food and go on living.
Yeah, Marissa, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but
no, please.
When I read your story, which we'll talk about in a little bit, that you wrote, that was the biggest eye opener for me. And it's because what you just said is kind of like, oh, well, yeah, obviously, but when you think of it as an addiction, and here's something you have to break free of, but that you need every day. You need it. And I don't know, for me, it was kind of like, crap, I never thought of it that way. Every single other addiction, you're trying to either reduce or completely get out of your life. And how do you do that with something where if you rid that of your life, you're dead?
Right.
You know, so that's a very good point. And it's because I don't think it's easy to look at it that way, but it is. I mean, it's nothing else is like that I can think of.
Right. When you're facing your addiction every single day.
3 times a day, at least, you know, it's
every
crazy.
day.
Yeah.
And I think because of that also, and you touched on this lightly, and of course we'll get into it, but I think because of that, people on the peripheral, like it's easy to not notice it. And then for the people really close to you, then it's a little easier to see it, but it's something that you can't change that for someone else. And that's really hard.
I mean, we're taught for so long, and us as athletes and everybody listening, you're told all your life that to be healthy, there's this balance that exists between mind and body, and this harmony that you're supposed to create and adhere to and nurture this connection between mind and body. And the thing, when you're that far into the black hole of an eating disorder, you don't want that connection. You have a mind and you have a body, and they're not supposed to connect. You know, your mind doesn't want you to have a body. And when you're starting down the path of rehabilitation, essentially, or healing, you're forced to remember that, to recreate that harmony. And it's incredibly difficult because, like you guys said, you have to face it every day for the rest of your life. And it doesn't matter how long ago you put yourself in this situation or how far you've come, you still face it every day. I mean, you're never completely healed from an eating disorder because it's a nightmare you walk into every day. Now you can change your perspective of food, which is what I did. But that doesn't mean that you're not less anxious around food. And I am to this day. It's an incredibly awkward situation for me. And
now, if you don't mind, Marissa, and feel free to not answer any one of my questions that I ask, but you're short. If you see any picture of you, that's pretty easy to pick out. How tall are you?
I'm on my driver's license, or like what I am right now.
Sure. Whichever one you want to answer.
I'm 4'10", and I honestly think gymnastics like compress my spine, and
so 4'10", and I think that's important because you're already going to be smaller, right? Mm-hmm. So do you, and are you open to sharing what weight were you when you went in to the hospital?
Well, when I went in the first time, I don't remember. As a teenager, I had to have been early, like 90s, 91, 93. Yeah. When I went in the second time as an adult, I was around the same. But I was also diagnosed with both anorexia and bulimia. And I think with a lot of people, the two kind of coincide. You might start here in anorexia, and anorexia is this very hollow existence. It's a void. It's nothing. It's deprivation. And bulimia is the opposite of that. Bulimia is an attack on your body. It's everything all at once, and it's disgusting, and it's guilty, and it's shameful. And I was between the two when I went in as an adult. So I was about the early 90s when I was admitted both times, from what I remember. I've tried to like look at my medical records, and I like kind of don't want to in the back of my head. But.
Yeah. So you were, short already,
Right.
Muscular, but you were very small. And what were those, what happened that your family was like, okay, we need to intervene here? Because I think it is easy to hide a lot of what's going on.
Well, I was at 15. My parents, they're not athletes, but they're these amazing individuals that gave me everything that I needed. My childhood I could not have asked for a better upbringing. My parents gave me everything that they didn't have, and that's what you do as a parent. You want to make sure that your children they just have all the values and the needs that they need to set them up for success. And my parents did that for us. So it was shocking, I think, just to see it. For my mom, it was more of just watching me dwindle away. Well, I was built like I am now, and my muscles started eating themselves, and watching my hair fall out. And I was starting to isolate. I did it worse as an adult, but as a teenager, I was incredibly withdrawn. And I think that's what kind of pushed him over the edge. When I started getting injured, I hurt my back pretty badly. And that was the last straw for both my parents when they admitted me into Hershey. When I went in, I was living in San Diego. I was still active duty in the Marine Corps when I went as an adult. And I admitted myself, and it was terrifying. But at that point, it was more of the bulimia that was taking its course on me. And I could just feel my body attacking itself in every way. So that was my decision to go in. But it was also my decision to rip myself out of there, 32 days later, against medical advice. And it's hard in there. I was 26, and we ranged, it was a very small program, but we ranged all the way from 18 to early 60s. And there was a woman that was admitted the same day I was. I remember her very well, and she was in her early 60s. And we sat down for dinner the first day. And when you're inpatient, they ask you to eat all your meals together as a table, family style. And we don't know, the other patients in there, we don't know what family style means. It had been years since I had sat down at a table with other people and put a fork in my mouth. Do you know what I mean? I remember watching this woman like not know what to do with her knife and her fork. And I'll never forget that. And it's just ridiculous that we have to reteach ourselves these basic skills that we learned when we were 4. When do you learn how to use a knife and a fork? I don't know. But it's just completely over our heads at that point, especially when you've been in and out of this black hole on your own accord for so long. It's just hard to see the outside perspective. And I'm totally going off on a tangent. I forget the
No, I appreciate the tangent. I'll break it up so you have a little bit of a break. So the reason why I guess I don't want the audience to feel uncomfortable, why I feel comfortable talking about some of these things. So my sister was also hospitalized. She was 14, 15, something like that. And I won't go into details because that's her story to tell. And my sister's 12 years older than me. So I was very young when all of it happened. But she is now 52 and still struggles. Diagnosed with both anorexia and bulimia, which I think a lot of people don't realize. You can have both. You can have multiple eating disorders. And as a family member going through it, I don't remember eating as a family. We didn't eat as a family. And she was always either not hungry or it was always she's a picky eater. And we knew, there was always a diagnosis, but it's never been gone. It's always just a part of something that she deals with all the time. So as a family member of someone who struggled their entire life with it, I don't know, your story was very close to everything that I grew up with. And I think the hardest thing is that there's nothing that you can do to heal that other person. I like that you use the word heal. You can't heal the other person. And this is a topic that I'm glad we are talking about because I don't know, like you said, maybe somebody will get something out of it. Now, as you were talking about going in the second time, I was thinking about what fears did you have going in the second time and how did you overcome those fears?
Well, I didn't overcome them. I mean, my fear was losing my freedom. And that's what you check in there and they take everything away from you,
right,
to your shoestrings and anything sharp up. Like it's that. It is like that. And UCLA, the hospital I was at is world renowned for their eating disorder program, both the adolescent one and the adult one. But you have to keep your door open. And after meals, you are escorted to the bathroom, and it is a lot of pouring your heart out into therapy that you're not ready for yet. And I was very condescending when I was there. They matched me up with a number of different psychotherapists that you do group therapy with and occupational therapy with, and I wanted nothing of it. And it's ridiculous because I put myself there. I signed the papers and walked in the doors. And the Marine Corps paid for it. And I can't get over how much I wasted. I mean, there was just no regard for anything, not just regard for my own health, but regard for all the steps it took to get me there. And all the people that worked to say, yeah, she can go on leave for this long to check herself into this unit. And I had no regard for it. And it's guilt that I still can't let go of. And it's not just that situation. There's other things that weigh in on this heaviness that you feel. I mentioned earlier that you choose all of these things. Every choice I made was one that I did in my own head. And I knew right from wrong. I was just deluded in my thinking. But I knew what I was doing was killing myself, and I did it anyway. And there's people that are born with neurological diseases that they didn't choose that. When you're diagnosed with cancer, you didn't choose that. And here I was just wasting life away of my own choice because I wanted to be a size 0. And, when I think about it now, I can see how ridiculous that is. And when you get so close to that edge and you have to pull yourself back, over time, you gain this incredible gratitude for every sunrise and every mile. And that's why, like, I do think that some people are like, I can't, like, why are you still smiling at mile 99? And that's why, and I didn't want to forget to bring running into this, like that.
Yeah.
Is what saved me. But the gratitude and the joy that I have, it comes from such a dark place. And this community deserves to know that, because there could be other people that need to hear that and need to know that there's light there.
So let's hold on before you keep going. Let's back up a little bit. We have time, and I want to know, and other people want to know. So you checked yourself out of there on your own accord as an angry individual. Basically, nothing was fixed. Well, then what? What happened?
Things got really bad after that. I was still active duty, and I did deploy again. And actually, the deployments were easier because you can't isolate as much. Isolation to an eating disorder is a petri dish. Things just fester and grow and rot there. When you're living alone, it's really easy to not eat for 3 days in a row. You know, there's no accountability. There's nobody there to say, hey, like, you're being an idiot. You know, when you're living alone, it's okay to come home and the only thing in your fridge is a half-eaten apple and a 6-pack of Corona. Like, that's okay. That was my fridge for the majority of my life. When you're living alone, it's really easy to come home from work and, you know, spend half your paycheck on groceries, take them home, eat them, and throw them up. Like, there's nobody there to say, what the hell are you doing?
Right.
Everything just grows when you're living alone. So deploying, that first deployment after I checked myself out was actually incredibly beneficial to me. And then I got out of the Marine Corps and things just got even worse. It was my only responsibilities. This was way before I met Robert, way before my family. I was still living in California. I was starting to run. This was about the year 2014 when before it got really good, it got really, really bad. 2014 was the year I started running pretty seriously, and that's when things started to take a turn. But in the years before that, they're dark enough that I choose not to remember them. It was just so much. There's so much disgust and so much guilt in those years, and I was so self-absorbed. And you know, my responsibilities were go to work, pay my rent, and then find an old guy at the bar to buy me a glass of wine. Like, that was my responsibility, and that was the day out. And in between that, it was running and not eating for days and then throwing up. And that was it. That was my life. That was my daily schedule for a very long time.
And when you say running, because this is not yet running community. So, right. So you were running alone.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I did a lot of running alone.
Yeah.
San Diego does have a great community, but I didn't invest in it yet. I wasn't reaching out to anybody. I still wanted to be alone. I still feel very heavily consumed by an eating disorder that I wanted to run 20 miles through the city and then go home and eat a pizza and throw it up. Like, that's what I wanted to do. So I did it. Right. You know, and then to tie this into running and how it's saved me. And I think we should get there because I don't want to.
Yeah, I still have more questions. You keep going.
I did start running seriously in 2014. And I realized how much I loved it very quickly. And then it took some time to realize that in order to keep doing that and to find my potential, because I knew I was good at it too. I had it built into me to be incredibly disciplined and incredibly hard on myself. Those are all things that come with growing up as an athlete, anything you do. Right. I just took them to the extreme and to the wrong levels of intensity. But I realized I got mad. I got really, really angry. And I realized that I didn't need to look at food. I didn't need to enjoy it. I just needed to use it. I needed to see it for its purpose. And that was to fuel me. And it happened very slowly. But over the course of time, I would focus on that. And I would say, okay, if you want to run 17 miles tomorrow, you need to put and it wasn't data driven much. I'm not a data driven runner now. Even when I'm running a 100-mile race, I don't consume a certain amount of calories throughout the course. I do what my body tells me because I spent over more than my life not doing what my body was telling me. And now it deserves for me to do it. So it was honestly just, okay, you're going to have to eat a half peanut butter sandwich if you want to do. So it started very slowly. But that's how it needed to be in order for me to see its purpose and to continue running. I had to allow that to grow very slowly. And it all happened in my own head. And it all happened because I love to run. And now I run now to acknowledge that essentially it saved my life, because there's no way my brain would have gotten there if I hadn't figured out I was so passionate about it. And if I hadn't followed that, my brain would have never gone there on its own. And it seems so simple. I know it sounds so simple, but it was the most complicated thing I ever had to do, was to change my perspective and say, you don't need to love food, you just need to use it. And it's very much the way I view it now. I mean, to this day, you know, I have bad days and I have good days, but I know the end reason is that I need to eat, because I got trails literally 100 feet out my front door that I want to run tomorrow. And so I'm going to eat, you know?
Yeah.
You made, like, obviously running was the treatment that worked for you, that's working for you, but you also allowed that to happen. I guess, I mean, somebody in the same situation as you were in could get into running because they like running, but they might not make that connection that you made to help fix the problem. That's pretty crazy, really, when there's all these opportunities for help out there.
Right.
Checking yourself into something, you know, get whatever you need to do, but you made the connection on your own, and it worked.
Well, it was a process of elimination. We tried. In the beginning, it was because my family was still heavily involved in thinking that they could change all this around. And instead of them helping me, I tore myself from them. And I don't know if, Grace, you experienced that, but I wanted nothing of it. And I created this incredible rift between myself and my mother that I still haven't mended. And we're trying. And I now that I am a mother, you know, I go to her and extend my gratitude daily. But it was because of a process of elimination. I was hospitalized twice. They sat me down in front of the director of the program, and I questioned his credentials because my head was that big, and I was so far gone that I had no idea that. Just listen. I wasn't willing to listen to them. In my head, I was too stubborn to say, no, you've never been down this road. How dare you tell me what you think I need? And that's how where my head was.
You become an expert at eating disorders. Like you become an expert at like managing this thing.
Not a place you want to be an expert in, but
right, exactly. But I think that people who suffer from it, it's you know, you get really, really good at managing all of those pieces, which gosh, is such a scary road to go down. Our brains are so complex, and all those chemicals that go along with it just don't make it any easier. You put those two together and it's just like, man, it's a shitstorm. Good on you for making it out. And you now you run ultras. And so what I do want to ask a couple of questions to connect it to running, because I find this part of it fascinating, because on the one hand, our sport can be very, never miss a Monday and very kind of intense. And there is a big piece of it that has to be surrounded with food, and it has to be surrounded with quote unquote junk food. You know, if you try to fuel yourself in an entire 100-miler with nuts and berries and carrots, you're gonna have a very painful 100-miler. So can you talk through some of the things that you've done to put yourself into a better mindset, or to help yourself along with eating the foods that your body needs to not only accomplish ultra distance, but very difficult races like Eastern States 100?
I do like the way healthy foods taste. I mean, you could put me in front of a plastic container of spinach and I could eat the whole thing with nothing on it, just like literally scooping it into my mouth. And I've done that before, but it's all about balance. It's all about establishing, getting your body to remember what its metabolism it needs to do, because you lose that, when you suffered for more than half your life, that's gone. But it's completely about balance. And I don't overthink it, but I don't underthink it either. You just have to stay on this consecutive course of, okay, you're going to wake up, and it is harder on the days where I can't run, those days are few and far between. You know, I'm going to make time for it at any given moment of my day, whether that's at 4 a.m. or my lunch break or in between meetings. I sneak it in, but I don't do it out of guilt anymore, out of what my body. I don't do it because I'm looking down right now at my muffin top. You know, I like that muffin top. I want it to stay there now.
Yeah.
I do it because I'm that in love with just one foot in front of the other. Like, it's just my mind craves that, that connection with the ground. And I don't know if I can tie that into my balanced eating. I don't do it while I'm running. I eat, I eat to fuel, and I don't overthink it. And that's the way that it has to be. And I cook healthy for my family. There are days where, you know, we go out to eat and I order a side of broccoli and that's my main dish. But there's also days I go out and I get a steak, and it could be after a race. It could be on a Sunday when I haven't done anything. It could be, you know, it's all about, maintaining longevity. Now I have kids to raise, and
Yeah, to me, it sounds like you're pretty normal now. I mean, no, honestly though, like,
right.
that's a good thing. That's a great word to be.
Yeah. I think it's just, I'm visible now. I can see things from a different perspective. And that's made all the difference. I also need to say, and I don't know if Robert knows it, but he definitely saved my life. Like, our first date, we met in San Diego. We were working together, and we went out for tacos, and I ate my sad little street taco with a fork, and I didn't eat the tortilla. Like, I was terrified. I still had these rules in my head. I couldn't eat fat. I couldn't eat carbs. These ridiculous rules that I just made up out of nowhere. Like, they just fell in my brain one day, and they were still there. And I sat there with him, and I ate my street tacos with my little sad little, you know, spork. And I left work that day just in tears. I just thought, okay, well, that's it. Like, I'm an idiot. Like, he's never gonna show up again. Like, that's it. I ruined it. And there he was the next day, like in my office with his crooked little smile and his beautiful laugh. And he brought me out without him even knowing that he did it. He brought me out of this place of isolation where I was on my way down that rabbit hole again. And he didn't do it on purpose. He just did it with his presence and his companionship. And then once the girls came years later, that just reinforced my purpose in life. Like, you go, like I said earlier, you go from your responsibility is to go to work, pay your rent, and have old guys buy you glasses of wine to raising a child. And that was monumental in snapping me back into reality, essentially. And now with this community that I am involved in, and I turn around and there's just faces that I know and hands of support. And I mean, at Eastern States, I remember coming into one aid station and Tess was there and Laura was there and Monica at the last aid station, just giving me everything I needed and just smiling and hugging me and rubbing my bloody back with Vaseline. And I can't imagine, I don't deserve it. Like, I still feel undeserving. I isolated myself for so long, and now I'm surrounded by more love, not just here in my house, but out on the trails than I feel worthy of. And it all goes into how grateful I am every time I'm out there. It could be the worst race of my life, but I'm still coming through that finish line with a smile on my face because I woke up that morning, I put 2 feet on the ground, and it was a time where I didn't want to do that. And everything comes full circle. And I just went off on a tangent. I don't even remember the question you asked.
I will say, I want to speak up real quick, not to go off on a tangent on my own either. But when I first got into running myself, I started running to lose weight and only to lose weight, not because I didn't enjoy running. But, you know, it was back when I was a stay-at-home dad, and my goal at the time was to get rid of my little beer belly, and I wanted to get a 6-pack just as a goal, just as a silly goal, right? And the reason I'm saying this is because I got to the point where I was counting calories and I was weighing myself every day, and I was working out. I was healthy as anything. But it got to the point where I kind of had to slap myself in the face and stop doing it, because you can go down that dark hole. And I'm not saying it's the same dark hole you were in, but you can easily go too far in that direction to where it's not cool anymore. Like, you just stop, because I wasn't there. It was just, for me, it was like, wait a minute, I'm right where I needed to be, and now I'm done. So I literally got rid of the scale in my house, and I stopped, and I haven't really weighed myself since, because weight doesn't matter for what I'm doing now. I found the love of trail running, ultra running, things like that. But I could tell I was at the point where it wasn't a challenge anymore. It was more of a, not an addiction, but I wonder if I can get rid of a half pound by tomorrow type thing.
And we are extreme athletes. Like, we're not just running the turkey trot. Like, we're out there doing, 3-digit mile races. And it's,
right.
When you are an all or nothing thinker, it's very easy to just go down that rabbit hole and want to keep going, because it's all or it's nothing, Right. I see what you're saying, Eric. Like, it's very easy to just keep going.
I don't know if it's a personality, a competitive personality, or I don't know what it is, but I was there, and it was like, okay, I'm going to turn this into a game, and the game went too far, in my opinion.
And I think you said something else that's revealing, Eric, and that's that you were a stay-at-home dad at the time. And I think that our sport, as great as the community is, it's also easy to show up at the race and go home, and to not engage in the community. And that's fine too. There's just certainly nothing wrong with that necessarily, but it's really easy to stay isolated within our sport, because it is a team sport, but it can be a solo sport if you want it to be. And that's where it gets a little dangerous. When you're not surrounded by that love.
Yeah, and I think that's why we're having this show tonight, is just to be aware that it is dangerous, and it's not something that everybody sees every day as dangerous, but man, it sure can be dangerous.
And so, Marissa, what words, I'm going to ask kind of 2 questions, but let's take them one at a time, and take your time with both of them. But what words of advice do you have for other runners who may be out there working with either an eating disorder or disordered eating? And then as well, what thoughts do you have for their families?
I would say take a step back, turn around, wake up and watch the sun come up one day. There is more to life than just being in that black hole, and it does feel consuming, and you do feel lost, but you want to feel lost, and you're not going to get anywhere until you want to see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's there. You have to have faith. Find use your passions to remind you of the beauty of every day. You can, all that guilt you're feeling, you can get out of it. You can turn away from that shame. It's always going to be there, but your character is made up of the decisions that you make every day. And, you're not alone. There's always, that sun's going to come up tomorrow regardless. So,
tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah.
I think it's important for everybody to realize that, since this is a running podcast, and the 3 of us enjoy ultra running, but just running in general, that everybody, a lot of people have smiles on their faces at races, and we feel like we're one big family. At least I do. I love the trail running community. But it's for me, I have to step back and remember that I don't know a lot of you behind that smile. All I know is seeing you at the race, giving you a hug. I feel like I call you my friend, you're my friend, but I don't know your past. I don't know what you're struggling with. And it's important to see people and know that everybody, I would say everybody has, a issue, at least one issue, if not multiple, that brought them to where they're at today, and running's made them stronger because of it.
Right.
Yeah, everybody's struggling with something. And I think back to, we have such a great running community, but for somebody out there, it's always their first race. And I think about the first time I did World's End 50K, I literally knew no one there. And a friend of mine was supposed to run the race with me. And she wasn't able to go at the last minute. So I was running an ultra by myself, not knowing anybody, which I had done ultras by myself before, but it wasn't, 3 hours away. It was a really far distance away. I didn't know those trails already. Every time I had done an ultra before, I had scouted the trails and everything. And it was scary. And I remember I had a blast. Nobody really talked to me during the race, which was fine. Oh, no. I take that back. I'm mixing up two races. I did end up talking to a couple of people, and they were absolutely amazing. And one of them was Jade Oaks. And she was just a lovely, lovely person. But afterwards, because Jade dropped out of the race to go take somebody to a hospital because that's how awesome she is. So that they had company.
Yeah, not surprised at all.
I know, exactly. But afterwards, I didn't know anybody. And I remember I was like, I am determined to make friends out of this. So I sat at somebody's table. To this day, I don't remember who it was. I was like, hi, I don't know anybody here. Who are you? And then the poor guy, I think it was like his wife or his girlfriend at some point, slowly snuck over. And I was like, hi, I'm just talking to this guy. Sorry. It's a lot of dudes. I can't help it. But I think in as much as we want to, it is a big community and we all know each other. For somebody, it's their first time.
Yeah. And
for that person, it's people like you who are going to smile at every runner, who are just so appreciated. So keep doing that. Thank you.
I will. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on and giving us your life story. I mean, that's not easy to do. And I think it will help somebody one way or another.
I hope so. Anybody, reach out anytime, anybody that's listening and struggling and, needs an ear, needs a buddy. Don't hesitate.
Yeah. And I'm going to throw out there that you wrote a story and I think you titled it An Ode to Running, right?
I did, yeah.
It's basically how you got to this point in your life and everything we talked about, but it's put into words. And I think in the next couple weeks here, Grace is going to in her beautiful angelic voice, put that into that story that you wrote into podcast form for anybody that wants to listen to it. Mm-hmm. And anybody that knows you or follows you on Facebook, and I kind of said this from the beginning, you are very good with words, putting on paper. So it's very well written, and it probably goes a little deeper even than we went tonight. So I would highly recommend those listening or those that do listen to this episode, definitely check that out coming up in the near future.
Yeah, and thank you in advance, Grace, for wanting to take that on and putting into your chronicles. It's a lot of my heart in that story, so I appreciate having it being voiced here in Running Mullet, especially.
Yeah, absolutely. So that will be coming up, and the Mullet Chronicles, which is what do you call that when it's like
It's a sub. What do you mean? A subgroup of
Subgroup of no. What do you call it when a TV show has another TV show that comes from it?
Oh yeah.
What are those called? Like Frasier.
Yeah, something.
Spin-off.
Thank you. It's a spinoff. It was right there. It was so close. So a spin-off podcast. It's not another podcast. It's this one, but it's the Mullet Chronicles. Thank you, Chris. So a spin-off, the Mullet Chronicles, where I read race reports. The last one was Nicole Werner's Eastern States 100. So I'm excited to have Marissa's come up soon. And then
Nicole Werner, that's a hard one to follow, though. I love her.
She's awesome. It's a great race report. So if you haven't had a chance, check that out. And I'll have more coming. Please submit your race reports to me. I only have a couple of them queued up. So
I personally think this is Grace's way of pushing me out of the limelight and
not so. Hold on, because here's what I know. This has been an intense podcast.
The reason I'm joking with you because I think it's phenomenal. Personally, I do. I really do. It's a better idea than you and I starting this show, in my opinion. But
I promise it'll get better. Also, I need music, so if anybody can give me some chill music for some nighttime stories, I appreciate it.
Interesting.
I did want to because I knew we were going to have this intense episode, and I think it needed to happen, but we got to bring it back. And I'm also going to throw in there were some great comments here. So if you didn't get a chance to see the live stream is the way to go.
Yeah.
Watch us on YouTube for this episode if you are able.
Yeah.
But let me bring this around. Let me bring around before we talk about our weekends, just to give you some happy, Eric. I just wanted to let you know, I looked over on iTunes and I found some reviews for the Running Mullet, and I thought I would share them with you to brighten your day a little bit.
Wait, iTunes was that like the Apple side of things?
Yes, it's the Apple side of things. So people who have listened to this podcast, everybody else understands how this works. I'm going to explain it to Eric. So there are these things called podcasts. We have one, and people can rate it, so they can give it.
I think
1
that
star, 5 stars.
Yeah.
It does. It does help us if people rate the podcast.
What'd they say?
They can leave reviews. And so one person said, Redhead Gal 327.
Ooh, is that Laura? That's Laura.
It might be Laura. I was actually thinking Angie. I don't know.
Go for it.
Okay. 5 stars. Very relatable. 2 exclamation points. Runners, young, old, fast, slow, new to running, or seasoned pros all can find something to enjoy in this podcast. The hosts clearly have a lot of fun and enjoy talking about running. I can't wait for more episodes.
Wow.
That's a good one. It's all very true.
Yeah. Right. I feel like somebody was forcing her to say that or something. Almost.
Possibly.
I don't know.
So we need more reviews. So.
Wait, that's it? That's all you have?
There's more. There's more. I'm not going to read all of them to you. I'm going to split it up a little bit. Because I want to bring a smile to your face at the end of every episode, Eric.
Can we can we start a third spinoff where it's just you reading our
reviews of this podcast? That is the third spinoff. Yes, that's a great idea. I love it.
Oh, man, no, that's good stuff. And I will say again, like it helps us if people leave those reviews and those stars. You can, if it can only be 1 out of 5, I'm cool with that. I'll get over it. But at least go out of your way. No, I won't. But go out of your way to do that stuff, because somehow, and Grace can explain it to me later, it helps us grow as a podcast. And I think we just want to get more people. We're not looking to grow for advertisement or anything. It's just, I don't know. I like people listening to us.
Eric's got a big heart, and he's got to share it with everybody. Now, Marissa,
out this week, it's really big. But
Marissa, what do you have happening this weekend?
Oh man, what we don't have much going on this weekend. Ice skating. The girls started ice skating.
Ooh.
So I made the transition from gymnastics over to ice skating, and we're dabbling in a lot of things right now. We're 6 and 7, so we're at that age where we can kind of do that. It's hard. There's a lot of falling. I did find these great little shorts that they can wear that are padded. So they're literally like they have little pillows like little ducks. It's very cute.
I don't need that at all.
So we have ice skating, and I think that's it. I don't know. I think that's it. Yeah, no racing. I'm starting on this weekend.
What do you have big coming up next? I guess we could talk about 2024, and you don't have to go into depth, but is there anything that the
So
world
I was actually just talking to Becky this weekend at the cross country meet. I'm running a winter 100 miler. I'm going to do the Devil Dog Ultra down in Virginia.
Yay.
So last season I did Beast of the East in December, and I actually loved it. I ran it as a training run. I was in my mind, I was like, hey, if you can finish this one, you're going to do really good at Eastern States. And that Eastern States was my A race for this past year. And it helped tremendously. They're hard. Winter races, 100 miles are hard because the night hours are so extensive. And you can't predict the weather. And I won't have Robert. So I'll go down, just make sure that Ben's probably not going to show up. Last year, Ben was at Beast of the East, and I was like, what are you doing here? But yeah, as long as I pack my drop bags pretty well, it should be set. And then after that, I won a blacklist. Last year, I only Triple Crown, and then I was at Black Forest volunteering. I paced, or I cut for a section, and then I volunteered at the third aid station. And you guys, I had the freaking best time ever. Like I loved it. But in the back of my head, I was like, why aren't you running this? So yeah, I'm gonna blacklist this year.
You're going through all of them again, huh?
Yeah, I am. I mean, that's to me, these are world-class trails, and I don't have the opportunity to travel yet. I don't have the money to travel yet. So why not? I love these trails, and it's opportunity. It's opportunity right here. So I'm gonna do it.
It's just opportunities for us to see you too. So I'm happy. I'll see it, all of them, I'm sure. No,
I'm back on after you blacklist.
Yeah, exactly. Or during the process or something, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. What about you guys?
Eric, what are you doing this weekend?
Saturday I am hunting, because this is the heart of deer hunting right now. The rut is happening. Bucks are stupid. You don't care about that. But yes, I have had very limited time with cross country coaching and watching and stuff. So yeah, Saturday, I don't care what you say. I'm not running. I'm hunting.
It's good cross training, because if you get something, you gotta haul it back.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you. That is the best thing you've ever said. And then Sunday, I am going with my family to the Tyadotten Trail Challenge, which is down in Waterville, PA, along Pine Creek. A phenomenal event. My daughters are running the 10K, and I am doing the half marathon for fun. So that should be a good time. I don't know what the weather's looking like, but it's always a good time. And Tracy Krimmer puts on a phenomenal event. I believe there's like tons of amazing soups there at the end and things like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Becky's going to watch, and friends are running it. That's my weekend. Hey, Grace, what the heck are you doing this weekend?
Oh, I am gonna manifest this into reality, because I like to challenge myself with hard things. And sometimes the hard thing is the thing that you just don't want to do, right? So it's a mental challenge. And I told you we have the York Roadrunners Club Winter Series. I'm the race director for one of the races, the one in December. And the first race out of the series is a road 10 miler. And that just sounds terrible. So I've never done it. I've volunteered for it. I have timed for it, but I've never run it before. And I probably should. I want to challenge myself. So I'm going to do a road 10 miler. I'm not much for road running, although I have a lot of respect for road runners. They are awesome, awesome people. It's outside of my comfort zone. So I am going to do a road 10 miler.
Good for you.
Thank
They
you.
are awesome people. And you know why? It's because we're all runners. It doesn't
We're all
matter
runners.
whether
I
you
am a road runner and a trail runner. I'm just a runner.
I'm a firm
Yeah.
believer that if you do both, you will benefit in both ways. Like road make you stronger on trails, and trails will make you stronger on road.
Exactly.
Second that.
Don't hate on one or the other. Just do it.
Exactly.
Stop your whining.
Yeah.
You know? So Grace, have
Yeah.
fun out there and enjoy it. Wear those cushy hokas and just have fun. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nah, that sounds fun.
It'll be good.
And then next Monday, I'm doing something with this here. So
Cut it off.
and maybe we'll talk with somebody from, I don't know.
I think we should have.
You gonna do it live on the show? Are you gonna have
Yes.
to cut it? Really?
Pretty much, yeah.
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 I think our guests should be like all a bunch of guys with the just amazing beards
That are like
know?
crying as I do it.
Yes.
Yeah, like Clayton and
Yeah.
I've heard
Let's have Clayton on.
Yeah. I don't know. Whatever. It's gonna happen. So we'll figure out.
Daryl Lehman, have him on. His is manicured. That thing is conditioned.
It's shaped. Yeah, his is nice. No, there's no barber. Maybe I'll have my daughter do it or something, but
Yeah.
there's no barber. What's the worst that could happen, right?
Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up. Next Monday, 7:30.
I go next
tune
Monday,
in.
7:30. I go from 42-year-old to a 15-year-old.
Watch it all go down. Thank you for being on the show, Marissa. You are
Thank you guys.
awesome.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we really do appreciate it, and it's hard to talk about some things, but that's the beauty of this show. I think is that we're hopefully able to do that, and we appreciate you choosing us to share your story.
Right. There's nowhere else I would have went. So thank you guys for allowing me to voice it tonight.
Yep, we love you. We all love you. And Grace, I don't know if it's a love thing. I like you, Grace.
Hey, thanks. I like you too, Eric. Too much love in here. Let's cut it.
All right. Have a good night, everybody. See you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.